He is a 4-time FLW winner. He is a 2-time Bassmaster Elite Series champion. He is a 3-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier. Buddy Gross joins me this week. Ow.
I'm Bob Cobb for the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course you, my humpers. You guys know the drill. Welcome into the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. This is the 220th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you're watching or listening from that life is treating you well. Welcome into the show this week. I thank you always for taking a little time out of your week to tune into this particular brand of tomfoolery. I hope all is well in your world. I gave you guys a little homework. A lot of people in the last week were shooting off fireworks, and I said, hey, let's keep all our digits. So I hope that is the truth for all of you. Wonderful time of year. I'm still in the middle of a bit of a hiatus from the Bassmaster Elite Series. We pick things back up in August on Lake St. Clair, but right now enjoying shooting some shows, shooting a bunch of underwater. Actually have some relatives in town from Ireland, so enjoying hanging with them. And my goal will be to not pick up an Irish accent, because that was my original accent. And weirdly enough, it seems I pick it up when I spend time with Irish people. It gets really bad when I go back to Ireland. So let's hope I don't show up at Lake St. Clair and say, hey, buddy, y'all, welcome to Lake St. Clair. We'll have a wee derby here going on. But I'm sure I won't. I'm weird that way. I don't know if other people suffer from this affliction, but I pick up accents as I talk to people. James Overstreet has a very thick Southern drawl. Whenever I talk to Overstreet, my wife can tell that I'm talking. When she walks in the room, she's like, you're talking to Overstreet, aren't you? I don't know why that happens to me. Maybe I'm just a people pleaser and I want to please people. So, so we'll see what I sound like on the future shows. But loving spending some time with my relatives from Ireland. So happy they could make the trip over here. And I hope things are going well in your world. We got a really cool show here this week. And I think it's just natural that in fishing, in any sport, in anything, we highlight people at the top. You know, we always have the winners on here right after they won an event. And quite often we don't get a chance to talk to somebody who's struggling. And part of that's just being good, because, you know, you don't want to pile on to somebody, but it's a big part of the story. And this week's guest is in one of those slumps. And he has a very open and honest conversation about it. And don't get me wrong, Buddy Gross has accomplished a ton in this sport. You know, to have multiple tour level wins, both at Bass and FLW, to have done a lot of the things that he's done is truly amazing. But this sport is heartless. It's relentless. It is a tough way to make a living. And again, don't get me wrong, there's people listening to this that are like, I would love to try, you know, it's way better than a cubicle or this truck I'm driving. And you are right. But it doesn't come without its stress. And the cool thing is, Buddy is willing to be very open, very honest, and very real. And that's exactly what this week's podcast is. So I hope you enjoy this look kind of behind the curtain with Elite Series Pro, Elite Series champion, the one Buddy Gross. We now travel all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chat with Buddy. Buddy Gross, it's good to finally do this. I mean, I've talked to you about doing this for a while, but we've finally slid it in there. How are you today?
I'm fine, man. I thought you weren't going to have me for a long time.
No. I mean, do you know what I hate about a podcast is booking guests? Like, I wish you guys would just sort it out amongst yourselves. And I'd just be like, who am I talking? I mean, I like talking to. I mean, I've never had a guest that I didn't like talking to. So, I mean, I like talking to everybody.
I don't believe that one.
Well, who do you think I didn't like talking to?
I don't know, but there's somebody you didn't enjoy.
There isn't. No, I wouldn't have him on the podcast if I didn't enjoy it.
Well, that's exactly why I haven't been here, Dave. I know the deal.
And here's the truth. If we're being totally honest, if I didn't like a guest, it probably would make a really good podcast.
It wouldn't for me. I just shut the laptop.
Well, I mean, and that's the beauty of podcasts too. That too would make, I mean, if I just promote this with you shutting the laptop and walking away, everybody on earth would watch.
We might have set that up, Dave.
So, buddy, I'm going to start with a softball question for you.
Softball?
Well, not the sport, but just like an easy one. And I've never asked you this. Is your name really Buddy?
It really is Buddy. I was born with that. My parents, for some reason, did not want me to have a nickname.
So, I mean, everybody I know I like, I've told you that. You and Buddy the Elf. Two buddies I know in my life, and both good buddies.
Yeah, Buddy the Elf's a little skinnier than me, though.
Well, yeah. Do you put syrup on your spaghetti?
No, I don't do that. I've never tried that one.
No. And he's skinnier, weirdly. It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, I have the same affliction, Buddy, and I'd like to look at it this way. If you were a bass, you'd be the one people would want to catch.
I still the one everybody wants to catch. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Been a while.
So tell me, did you have a moment that stands out in your mind that addicted, like when you said, hey man, I got to figure out a way to do this? Or was it when did you figure fishing was something more than just what everybody else was experiencing for you?
You know, I fished local for a long time, and was good local. I mean, I was good local. Sometimes I didn't actually, they'd move tournaments or making invitationals and stuff. I mean, we just fished at home. I never left the Tennessee River for the most part. And I was happy with that. I mean, I was comfortable. Now, a good example, I went back home and fished the CBA this weekend and got beat by like 15 pounds by Banks again. So them boys is catching them, but it's because we're never at home anymore. Yeah. But you know, I had a regular job, you know, most time 12 hours a day working at a body shop for my in-laws when this happened. And I went and fished some Toyotas just to get out of town and fish some bigger stuff. It was not intentionally looking to try to make anything happen. But I got down there and I actually qualified for the FLW tour and had a decision and talked to my family about it. And ironically, right before I got ready to go, like I think May or June, I actually wound up leaving the body shop. I didn't start my FLW career as a pro until, you know, January, February. So I had a lapse there where we didn't know what we were going to do. And my wife actually was the one that said, she said, well, you qualified to fish, so why don't you try it? And I had $5,000 in the bank. So it's kind of a crazy story. We really didn't have the money to go, didn't have the boat to go. And somehow the Lord made a way.
So how do you make that and how old are you at this time when you made that decision?
So I think I've been fishing professionally 11 years or 10 years. So 42-ish. Late.
With $5,000 in the bank, and you're like, let's roll, put it all on black.
Yeah. Now let me just straight tell you. Now I've made some good money in my life, and everybody around here thought I was a spoiled kid, but I played hard, spent money like I shouldn't have. I didn't think I'd live to be 50. I think it's kind of how I lived my life, and not with bad stuff, but we did a lot of, you know, dangerous sports, high speed boats. I mean, we did everything there is to do, and unfortunately, I was taught how to spend money more than I was taught how to save money. That was a bad thing. So
what do you mean, like a lot of dangerous sports?
Well, I always had bass boats that would run triple digits for the most part. I mean, they'd run I'd run two people 94 miles an hour ready to go fish a tournament. So, I mean, that's fast.
Yeah.
And on a river, I mean, like, there's just a lot of stuff I look back on. We did that. We've had off-road buggies, you know, the big 500 horsepower single seater, all tube cage, had 120 bolts in each tire. I mean, we've done a lot of fun stuff. I mean, like I have been an adrenaline junkie my whole life. So I always like to compete in something.
Have you ever seen that boat racing they do in Australia where they're on like the track?
Yeah, the course. And then they come out of the banks and roll over and stuff. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, that is I mean, it's the most insane but most awesome thing ever.
I like this little flat bottom deal they're doing now where you got to have a buddy who gets on the front and lays across it so it'll turn. Have you seen that running through these bayous?
Yeah. Like John boats, right?
I'm all into that stuff. My biggest fear is drowning, but the most fun I have is on the water doing something crazy. I miss the boat races of bass fishermen did.
Yeah, I think it was before its time.
I think it was too.
What
everybody don't know is that time, though, everybody was trying to make faster and faster boats. They weren't worried about the creature comforts. I mean, like, I grew up on Niggajack Lake mostly, which is between Chattanooga and Nashville, say. So you had Earl Bentz to bring Tritons down trying to outrun us. And I mean, Bullet was in Knoxville. They'd bring boats down. So about 2/3 of our fishing tournaments was boat races as much as it was fishing tournaments on the weekdays.
Tennessee does have a big, like when you think about like the go faster guys, a lot of them are from Tennessee. I never thought about it like that, but is that because of Earl Bentz or is that like just...
It wasn't just Earl Bentz. You had Norriscraft was built in Tennessee. You had Bullet was built in Tennessee. Allison Boats was built in Tennessee. Earl Bentz built, you had Stratus, Nitra. I mean, my mind just went blank. The Triton. I mean, like there was just a lot of boat manufacturers here. Bumblebee. I mean, like this is just a hub for it. I mean, it was just a really good hub for performance, and these guys were a little ahead of their time. I mean, there's still boats around here now that are still 100-mile-an-hour boats. There's nothing like the sound of a 2.5 Mercury sitting there. It sounds like a big block Chevrolet rolled in a parking lot. I mean, it is awesome. I mean, and I miss it. I mean, every now and then I look at one, I'm like, man, I need that for a toy, but we don't have time for toys with kids riding horses and fishing for I think I'm actually fishing 20 events out of town this year. So that's 20 weeks gone out of 52.
Yeah. And then your daughter's barrel racing all over the place, right?
Yep. She does, and she relies on me to make some money when she's not making. I mean, when she's racing, it's not for ribbons and trophies. She's actually racing for money. So it's a little business of her own now.
So all of a sudden, her barrel racing doesn't seem so like crazy to me. Like when I hear about your past, I'm like, wow, barrel racing. I mean, that's somewhat safe.
She was scared. If I tried to put her in a buggy today, she wouldn't get in one. I don't think she would, but she's had some very scary mishaps on horses. I mean, I've had to watch my daughter slung around like a rag doll, and that's not fun to watch, but she climbs right back on.
Do you ride horses?
I have. Now, she'll tell you I don't ride because if you'll remember, I came to my first Bassmaster Classic in one of them little scooters because I got on her horse. And back then, she was still a small child, and she had small stirrups. My foot was coming out of stirrups. So I was going to be smart and jump off before I fell off. And when I jumped off, I twisted my ankle right before we left for the Classic, the day before we left for the Classic. So I try not to get on one now so I don't have to experience not being able to go fish and try to make some money.
Yeah. My sister was a big equestrian rider growing up, and I just don't trust horses. And she would make fun of me all the time, and I'm like, I'm much better with horsepower than just one individual horse.
I'm going to tell you, it's something with its own brain, and it weighs 1,300 pounds. I mean, they're solid muscle. I mean, if they want to throw you or hurt you, they can in a hurry.
Yeah. So let's go back. So you had $5,000 in the bank and said, I'm going to join the tour. And from the outside, to me as a fan, it felt like things went real good, like pretty quick for you. Am I reading that right or wrong?
Well, it took a while during the season, and it's something that we don't talk a whole lot about, and I'm gonna spill the beans with you. I never fished as a co-angler in my life. I never fished small baits in my life. I mean, like I fished tournaments, had to have 5 fish at the end of the day, most of them one-day events, so everything I threw was the size of a tennis shoe. So when I went to the tour, Michael Neal was my buddy, and Michael actually showed me what a drop shot was maybe the day before I left. I didn't know what a wacky worm was. I didn't know what a swim jig was. I can go on and on and on. I mean, like I had never experienced the things that a man needs to be prepared to come to the elites or at the tour, any tour level event.
To fish for points in general.
Yeah, I mean,
you just fish for wins.
I never even. I watched Bassmaster. Do not get me wrong. There's still the Bob Cobb days. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday when I was a kid. But once I become an angler that was competing, I didn't like watching. I was a participant instead of a watcher, if that makes any sense at all. So, but my fishing partner, team partner, now he was in tune to everything that happened. Hey, every time a bait come out, y'all won something. I mean, he'd fill me in. and I'd be skeptical till he beat me with it. But we, even then, I can tell you, I might have been 2 years in before I ever threw a wacky worm. And now a wacky worm's always tied on in my boat in case I need a keeper. There's just so many things I didn't know that these kids now that are coming in, they've watched everything that we've taught them for me, for the last 10 years. And now I'm competing against them. I mean, and they're already dialed in when they get here. So it was a curve for me.
Yeah, I imagine.
And I got there and didn't get a check. I'm talking about I stayed like around 100, but back then you got to remember we had 200 in the FOW tour. So I was about a 50% guy, but at a 50% guy back then, you still weren't getting paid. So we made it all the way through the season until we went to Beaver, which is about 4 tournaments in before I got my first check, maybe 5.
Okay.
But I got a check. Barely missed the first cut, but I got a check. Well, maybe. I think I told you wrong. I think I missed the cut and didn't get a check by an ounce or two. Like I was the first guy out. Next tournament was Kentucky Lake. I got a check. And that made it to where I could go to Pickwick. And I made it to Pickwick, and that was my last tournament. We had enough money just to fish Pickwick, and I probably wouldn't have made it past Pickwick, and we win it. And that all that did is pay back everything that we've been living off of, you know what I'm saying? So that got us back to square one, and then it did get better. We started getting checks in the tournaments, then I won another one. But, until the last couple of years, we'd won one every year, every other year, pretty much. I mean, and that's a big deal. I mean, when you win one, that sets it up for the next year, and it lets me fish more comfortable. So my performance lately has been several things, in my opinion. I mean, like Bella 2 years ago, getting really competitive about this deal and being she just turned 16 this year. So she's 13, 14, and I wanted to spend time with her as much as I could when I was home. So I didn't fish as much as I did. And it shows. About the time live really took off, I was doing something else besides trying to learn it. And I'm paying for that right now and in the last 2 years. So, I don't regret it, though. I mean, I've only got one shot with my kid. So I don't like being behind, and I'm pretty much known to be good with electronics. And I'm good with that thing to a certain point, but these boys shaking the minnow has got me whooped. I'm not real good with the minnow. But anything else as far as throwing at a target, hitting a target, shaking it on the bottom, I mean, if they're on the bottom related, I'll catch them. But that suspended deal still got me, and it bothers me the most because I was the first one to figure out how to catch them suspended on the, the for a better word, the scrounger. I mean, that scrounger made me tons of money at home. And even when I got on tour, I mean, that was what we caught them on for years and kept a secret. Well, we kept that thing a secret for 5 or 6 years. And all I did was learn how to count it down and catch them where they were sat there trying to recuperate, but I always caught them off a ledge. Now, that stuff out in the middle of nowhere I could have never done. But we were catching fish everybody else couldn't catch for a long time before. And that's what these guys have done now. These young guys have figured out how to catch the ones that everybody else can't catch. And I'm a little bit jealous. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, but I think what you explained too is the truth about life. In any, that moment of time where you have no responsibility but just to catch a fish, just to stay on top of the fish. It's the irony of life, because I think that when you're in that moment, you keep thinking about, man, I want my life together, and I want to have kids, and I want to have, you know what I mean? Like, you're thinking ahead. And then when you have kids, as much as you love it, you're like, man, I hate how I'm being pulled away from the water. But I think that's the same in a lot of jobs, but it really stands out in fishing. Is there any way to combat that?
Get back after it. That's it. That's the only way you can do it. And again, my daughter looks like she's graduated 2 years early. She's graduated this summer now. We started homeschooling her. So I'm changing my focus. I'm coming back to fishing. If I'm going to stay, I got to. I have no choice. And I'm going to be on the bubble. I'll be a bubble boy this year at the Elites. Don't like that feeling at all. I need to pick up the pace. I had my worst finish ever at 10 kilo the other day. I've never finished that bad that I ever weighed my fish in for every day. So that was humbling. That was something I don't even want to talk about. It was that bad. But, I mean, it happens. And I didn't believe in slumps. But I can tell you one thing. I still believe I created my slump. I don't think it was something that just happens. I think I just got lax, and I'm reaping what I sowed.
But just thinking like that, does that not make it better? If you were in a situation, because I've talked to many people who are in a slump. I've talked to people when they're here, and sometimes it's the same person at different times in their life. But there's times where I talk to people where they're in that slump and they're like, I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. I just can't, it's just not happening. But just you identifying it, I would think, any problem, identifying that problem helps you get out of it quicker. Do you feel that way?
Yes and no. Here's the next problem, though, and we're getting real a little bit, but this is my only income.
Yeah.
You know, my father's passed away. My mother's, you know, she's worked her whole life. I mean, there ain't no money in my family. I mean, it's all sweat and tears here, Bubba. So when you ain't making money, it's hard.
Yeah.
And that puts the strain on, you know, family tries to do all they can do, but when the bills need to be paid and people's knocking on the doors and the wolves are biting, they're looking at you to pay the bills. So that's when it really gets hard.
Yeah. That's the injustice of pro fishing. I've always said that, you know, it's unfair. I mean, I always use the analogy of like, if you're a pro baseball player and you're making league minimum, guess what? You're still probably making more than most of the people you went to high school with or went to college with, whatever. And you don't think about that money when you're pitching, even if you're pitching against the guy who's making the most in the league. The last thing you're thinking of is, man, I need to pitch this right so I have gas money to drive home from this game. But
people don't think about that. That's some serious pressure. That's way more pressure than catching a fish.
Yeah.
It changes everything that I do. It changes the swinging for the fence or the fishing like I want to, power fishing with a big bait or a big plug or a jig. I mean, like when I pick up a wacky worm and start skipping docks trying to get a check and then I still finish 70th, dude, that's rough. And then when you hang up or you weigh your fish and you step off stage, the first phone call is your wife. She says, now what are we going to do? I mean, that's a rough call.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for 2 years. But, you know, we've cashed more this year than I did all last year, maybe 2 years combined. So, and it's not been good. We've not won one. We've had a couple of top tens. But, I mean, we've had some opportunities this year. At Fork, I led the first day. You know, I just did some circumstances. But it still lets me know I can still catch them. I just got to get better at doing what I need to do whenever it gets. Most of my stuff this year has been like one or two spots, and you can't do it with these guys. You got to be able to roll and keep carrying this thing through with more spots or more fish or however you want to look at it. But, you know, 2 times this year, my place has got blowed out. And when it gets blowed out, if you ain't got nothing else, you got to scramble, and the scramble don't work too good for me.
Today's high-tech fishing world can be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're running the wrong mount. Beat Down Outdoors, they bring the graph to you. And they support this podcast and care enough about you to make this a short ad read. Check out Beat Down Outdoors. Now back to the show.
Yeah, and scrambling in itself gets so much harder when you are in a situation where you feel it's. I mean, if you think about what you explained about when you started in the FLW tour, it's the same thing in a different situation, but you had to adapt and learn how to point fish, so to speak. And I think that from the outside, I think that's one of the things that people don't pay attention to tour level pros. And even myself, I was guilty of it for a long time where, because guys like to throw the term around swinging for the fences and stuff, but it's so rare that you actually can do that on a tour because you can't go a day without catching them.
No. And what I've noticed too, when I first started this deal, 13, 14 pounds a day was check line. Now it's 15, 16, 17 pounds a day is a check line. And fishing ain't getting better. The anglers are getting better. That's the deal. I mean, they're just getting better at their skills. And even the older guys is having to get better. And you see some of them climb and sometimes we fall, but it seems to be the younger guys are doing better, but I do believe it's what we're talking about. It's a lot because that's all they got. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
And life at home spreads things out no matter what anybody thinks. And as older they get, maybe that changes. But I mean, a career angler the future may be that they focus on fishing and not life outside of that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just, I wasn't set up that way when I started. My daughter's already here. I mean, like it was just, you know, one of them deals. We wasn't a lot of planning going on when I did it. It was by the seat of our pants. And we made it work, but it still is tough. And I think the biggest thing that I see, and I'm not envious, but the guys that did really good with social media, those are the guys that are like you're talking about, the baseball guys that already got a check. You know what I'm trying to say? Those guys are the ones that are going to be sustainable in the end of this deal. Is you've got to have other income besides cashing checks. But I was always so good at making my money with my fishing pole, and I thought it would last forever, and it didn't. And I wasn't set up in a good position to do Ironically, I took a friend of mine who is got some customers. He wanted to take fishing. I took him yesterday, and ironically, we sat there at lunch and talked about it a little bit. And I said, I wish I'd have done better on my social media. They was like, dude, everything that you've talked to us about on this boat today is what everybody wants to hear. So all you got to do is put cameras up and get somebody put it on there. That you've got it. You just got to do it. We never thought about it that way till yesterday. That happened yesterday. So, we may, I'm going to be the real guy. I ain't funny or nothing else, but I'll talk to you about fishing and share what I know because my daughter don't care about it and I have nobody to leave it to. So I may be the guy that educates everybody from now on. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to get better. If I'm going to stay in it, we have got to get better at doing something to make money outside of cashing checks.
Yeah, I think the key with social media, in my opinion, is it's simple. Just freaking do it. Just do and people spend. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. This podcast, it's been around now. I think this is our 5th season, but I thought about it for 3-4 seasons before that. And, my only regret now is like, why didn't I start it sooner? And I feel that is the way in all of social media. And I think people spend so much time thinking of like, I got to do something different or I got to figure it out how to get it. But ultimately, the most successful social media stuff is just people who are being real. And it doesn't matter, not everybody can be Gerald Swindle. Not everybody can be Takumi. Not everybody. But if you look at Takumi, and you've heard me say this in meetings, I use him as an example because he has every single reason to fail.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak the same. Like I could not imagine. Like if you think social media is tough here, imagine how tough. I'm pretty decent communicator. I'd have a really hard time in Japan.
Man, you both. Something about Takumi though. Takumi stayed at my house first year we were on tour. He stayed there for a few days, and just those guys are so much. They have so many different techniques that we've never seen. I enjoy just talking to him. The boy is full of knowledge that we have no idea even exists yet, and it's just because of the cultures and high pressure. And I still think those guys. The Japanese, they really excelled before these younger guys started coming on tour because they were spending all their time on the lake. But now these guys have spent the time here before and now. So, I still think that's the order. These young kids, then the Japanese, then us that took it for granted a little bit. But even like people like Paulnet's so good to hear on his stuff. There's just great guys in our deal.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it is, it's easy to say that I don't think you guys took it for granted. But I wonder how much of it is the sport evolving, because I look at other sports and I feel like I've heard the same story. Like years ago, I, did one of those pro-am deals and I fished with a guy named Steve Larmer who played in the NHL at the time. And he had won a Stanley Cup and he played a lot of his career with the Rangers. That's where he won his cup, and the Blackhawks. And he had a great career. He was the Iron Man, never missed games I might still have the record. But I remember him saying to me, the NHL is not as much fun as it used to be when we fished. And I was like, how can you say that? And he said, wow, these kids are changing it. He said, we used to show up to training camp to get in shape. We'd spend all summer having fun. And then we'd show up and we'd lose some weight and we'd get in shape. And by the time the season started, you were ready to go. He says, well, now these kids, they work out all summer long. They show up in peak shape. They kick our asses in training camp because we're out of shape. And he goes, that's just not the NHL that I'm used to being part of. And when you look at it in those terms, you're like, well, that's kind of the sport evolving. Is the same thing happening in fishing?
100%. These boys are doing a 365-day fishing deal. And we're, and I love to hunt, so don't get me wrong, but I don't fish to hunt. And there's a lot of our guys that fish to hunt. And you lose months of preparation when you do that hunt deal. That's a lot of time. Even in the summer, they're all starting right now, I'm sure, getting food plots ready and tree stand placements ready. And, a lot of the guys that are doing that, though, have already made their career. Unfortunately, I started late. Me and Davey aren't far from the same age, but Davey was done by the time I got started. So, I'm behind. But these kids have got a great future ahead of them. They're going to have great times, and they're great anglers. Like I told you, Banks and Tucker and Marks. All of them. They're all just freaking phenomenal fishermen. I don't think whatever happens as far as electronics goes in this future, I think they're all still going to be good. They're going to be spending the time on the lake learning their next deal, whatever that is. I don't think the faces are going to change, but us guys that did not prep for this live are suffering right now. That's a fact, and that's self-inflicted. That's all it is.
So how are you prepping to recover from that? Are you just spending a lot of time?
I'm looking for a job. I really don't know. I mean, like I'm using it. I seem to fish better without it because I'm still the guy that has not necessarily fishing on history, but just where I think they ought to be.
Yeah.
And you can't divide this deal. If you're going to go in, you got to go in. It's not much different than anything else. You either got to get in or out. And I've just still not chose to be 100% in. I chose to be 100% in at 10 killer, and then they all went to the bank. So there you go. You still got to be able to make good decisions. And I used to be really good at making decisions, but that threw another curve into it. So I'm still just behind. I'm not going to tell you. I promise you though that I've been in the boat with some of the best. And as far as I don't care if it's 80 feet away, first cast, I'll hit them in the head. I don't have a problem with that part of it. Making them bite when they don't want to bite, that is part of it. Or knowing when to quit or knowing when to follow. And, you know, I mean, like Trey caught the one that had his jerkbait in his mouth later with a jerkbait. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, dude, I wouldn't even chase that fish back in the day. I would have said, hey, that thing ain't going to bite again. I mean, like, that's kind of the mentality I grew up with. Well, now we know that they will bite again, even with a piece of hardware in their mouth. I mean, he probably couldn't even open his mouth and still eat it. You know what I mean? I mean, that gets crazy. Yeah. So these guys are teaching me stuff. I mean, I just, my lessons are more expensive now. That's what me and my wife talk about all the time. When I leave, I tell her I learned something today. She says, I'm glad. She says, it was expensive. And she ain't lying. I mean, it is expensive lessons. Where back, if I'd learned it the way they got to learn it, it wouldn't have been near as expensive. But again, it is, it's evolving. You said it the best of anybody I've heard say. It is evolving, and it's not going to stop evolving. It's going to keep going to where this is the deal. I mean, if you're going to be a fisherman, you got to be a fisherman. That's where it's headed. I mean, and you're going to have to fish every time that you can. I mean, whatever that number is, if it's 300 days a year or 365 days a year, you're going to have to either get all in or step back and kind of suffer the ride. I mean, that's just basically what I think about it.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it. It's funny because you mentioned Paul Marks and the list of anglers you were throwing out there. And I just ironically had been texting with him about something yesterday. And I mean, I don't think people realize we've got a bit of a lull in the Elite Series now, but he just finished fishing an event on Champlain. He's now in Thousand Islands just for a week. We don't have a tournament coming up there, but I mean, I'm sure he knows there's going to be one in the future, but he's there. He's coming to Canada, like to fish Simcoe for a few days. Like he's literally living, and that's hard. And it's weird because it's fishing and people don't want to think about it like that. But dude, I mean, if Bella's world, the girl that rides the horses the most, the girl that trains every day generally does pretty good, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, and you think about this too. Just think about what that trip's costing him. So you just told me 3 weeks minimum he's there, maybe 4 weeks. Somebody like me who's got a family to raise, got monthly bills, and ain't cashing checks, I can't go do that. That's the bad thing. This is a bad catch right here, and you're learning it. I mean, you're speaking it, talking it. I want to go. Sometimes I can't go. That's another problem. I mean, I'm being real. Everybody thinks because you're a pro fisherman, you got it made, and they just, like they're throwing stuff at you. I mean, free boats and free trucks and free tires. I mean, we only talk about the fuel, the tires, the brakes. I mean, like, dude, it is amazing what it costs if you really break it down. And it's not really a great business decision for me, but I have a passion and I love it. And this is the only place I can compete like this. I mean, when you grow up playing every sport there is, once you're out of college you got to go pro somewhere. I was tired of ball. Played every sport there was to play but basketball. White man can't jump, that's me. But everything else I could do. I mean, I was just the way it was. And I was a good athlete. And then I didn't have nowhere to put it. So I found fishing and that's where it went. And man, I love it. I'm not kidding you. I love it. I think I lost that little eye of the tiger deal whenever we really need to bear down. And, I just kind of sliding by, but I'm tired of sliding by. And I just got to figured out. I don't like all the controversy we've had in the sport. I wish we could get rid of it. I just want somebody to tell me the rules and let me show up and go play ball. That's what I want to do. Whether if I don't like it, find somewhere else to play. But we just got too much controversy, and I don't think it's the kids. I think the kids are making it harder on the guys that ain't doing good because they're the fall guy. But it's not their fault. They're doing their job. We just got to do a better job.
So why do you think we have so much controversy?
Honestly, I don't like. I think. Oh, I'm facing get trouble by some of my peers probably, but I don't like voting on nothing. I mean, I don't like it if we're not getting treated correctly, but I don't like the vote stuff, and I'm not the only one. But look, if I go get me a Coca-Cola and I don't like the taste of it, they're not going to let me walk in there and tell me, hey, I want you to change the taste of this thing because it just don't fit me. I just think we need fair rules. And if we want to fight for something, we need to be fighting for it to pay better. I mean, not necessarily out of basketball. We got to figure out some way to make it like the pro ball players, like you said, where this don't happen to anybody in the future, kind of like what's happening to me right now. I mean, like, you can be the greatest angler ever, but if you have a bad year or a bad financial decision, you're done. You don't need to be that way. We need to figure out somewhere in the future, this needs to be a paying gig, because you can call us pro anglers, but really all we're doing is throwing our money in a pot going fishing. And that's why I was, and again, a sore subject. I like that whole deal with the zero entry fee. I thought that was the greatest thing ever, even though the payouts were worse. And I'd be suffering. Yes, I'd be suffering, but it had to start somewhere. I just don't like paying an entry fee if we're going to be called a professional sport. Nobody else does that.
Yeah.
I'd love to have some of that money for 2 or 3 years like the golf guys make. I mean, can you imagine? You imagine how everybody will be smiling. I love it. Everybody will be smiling when you see them.
And that being said, I'd love it too. I mean, I think Bass would love. I mean, you know what? The guy that does my job and the PGA gets paid. I mean, it's everything gets. I think that the goal always should be to be bigger and better every single year in anything you do in life. But I agree with you on the votes. I've always said voting's a good way to make sure half the room feels like they lost. Like if I have you over for pizza, buddy, and I say, we're having pizza, you'll be like, oh, this is great. Dave had all the anglers over for pizza. But if I say, hey, guys, who wants cheese and pepperoni and who wants meat lovers? And if the meat lovers wins, cheese and pepperoni people are going to be like, this pizza was good, but damn, I really wanted my cheese and pepperoni.
Well, it's just human nature. If you're going to vote on something, vote what you want. And it just divides our field when we do that. That's the part I don't like, is the division it creates. Just like you're saying, it just, no matter whether you're right or wrong, because everybody's opinion and everybody's vote is for a different circumstance. I mean, like, just because I vote this way, maybe because I'm trying to help my family, and they vote the other way because they're trying to help their family. They don't make them right or wrong.
Yeah.
It just creates division. I don't like the division. I don't like a lot of controversy, but I'm telling you, when I first came over to the elites, I have never been happier in my life. I mean, it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it was good the next year and the next year, but now we just got a lot of stuff that's, I don't know. I just can see the division, feel the division. Even the young kids, you can see them group up together. And I mean, I don't try to get in any of them, but it's, I just like to see us all happy to be able to go fish for a living. That's awesome that we get to do that. And the golf deal is the closest thing to it. I mean, they have spectators walk around the holes on 18 holes, but most of their money's coming from production and TV, the way I got it figured. So if we do a good job, I mean, we could get on that kind of viewing level, I think. I'm not smart enough to tell you how, but I do think somebody is smart enough to figure it out. We just haven't figured it out yet. I know it's been tried, but you got to think. I mean, competition golf, what? Early 18 or mid 1800s, probably. I'm guessing 19.
Yeah, I mean it's much older sport.
Yeah, Ray Scott, what? 19, what?
Yeah, we're 60 years in basically, so, and they're 100 and something. Yeah,
they've had almost double the time to figure some stuff out. Not in technology wise, but I'm just saying that, you know, that thing has had a big following, and this, everybody thinks golf's expensive, which is not compared to fishing. But I mean, like, it may be a little easier, but everybody likes to fish. At some point in time, somebody's always had a rod and reel in their hand, and it brings back memories. So I don't know. We just got to be better. If we did better at our jobs as anglers and not created this little division that we got going on now, it would have helped our sport more too. I just think, I do see fans talk about y'all are crying and complaining about all this, and you're a professional angler. But again, they don't realize how tight the money is in this sport and how many people are going after the dollars that are industry sponsors. I mean, talking about high school, college, now you got mid-level pros. I don't know how you want to call that, but I mean, like the Toyota size. I mean, like there's just a lot of anglers fighting for that money that these other sports don't have too.
Yeah.
And I think high school fishing, college fishing is great, but I don't know that it should have dug into the professional side budget. And we ain't talked about this, but YouTubers and all the podcasts and all the Instagram guys that are even getting into that money now and not doing what we're doing. I mean, back in the day when it was a magazine, they didn't see all of it except in the magazine. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's drug the money out of fishing and put it in 1,000 more places. The pie's got bigger, maybe is a better way to put it, but.
Yeah.
And I've tried to stay outside of the industry to try to do the non-endemic sponsors, and you can keep them for a year or two, but then they decide they're going to do something different. It don't last long. It don't stick like it should. So, and I can see bass having the same issues.
Yeah, and that's been my biggest beef about any of the controversy or whatever you want to call it. The division. I've always said, I'm like, if you're the guy from Gillette, or you're the guy from whatever, you're the guy from Steel Chainsaws, and you say, hey, I want to get, I got budget. Let's look at a sport to get into. And if you look in pro fishing right now, the first two things you come across is weights and walleye and, this forward facing sonar controversy or what, it's not. And meanwhile, when I spend time with everybody, I'm like, there's so many great families and it's so wholesome and there's so much goodness to it. But I think it's a kind of a version of what you explained at the beginning. Like when money troubles, my mom used to say growing up, when poverty flies in the window, love goes out the door. And I feel like in some ways, just like you talked about earlier, that's also what's happening in the sport. Like it's more aggressive now. You mentioned Davey Hite. Davey Hite had a great, incredible Hall of Fame career. He didn't have the same number of pros he was competing against. And I don't mean just like on the water. I mean sponsorship wise. Like, I mean, there was the guys at Bass, there was FLW, but now you got multiple leagues, multiple layers. Like there's so many layers. And the YouTube things happening even in golf, like you got people like good golf and stuff like that. If you look at them, and now the pros are starting to do stuff with all those YouTubers in golf because they've got a different audience. I mean, it's a different time.
It is. Sure. It is. And it's a time where people my age were never, I never ever watched YouTube videos much. I mean, until lately, yeah. I mean, like in the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, like, the guys that are, I'm gonna say like the 35s and back, those are the guys that are actually going to thrive, and it should be. But those are the guys that are actually able to diversify faster than what some of us are, and I want to be. Again, it's my fault. I mean, I'm taking the credit or I'm taking the blame for it because I didn't do a good job when I knew it. It's like you're on your podcast. Wish you'd done it 2 or 3 years sooner. I wish I'd have done stuff 2 or 3 years sooner, but the older we get, the faster a year goes by. You think, well, I'll do it later this year. Well, heck, later this year is a day and a half later and you're gone. I mean, like it's just happens fast. I mean, time flies.
Yeah, that is the truth. That is the truth.
Avco not only makes incredible outdoor clothing, but they care about anglers with their 10% pledge. Avco and the Shed family donate at least 10% of the company's profits to conservation and making fishing better. Now back to the show.
What's your favorite part about this sport? Like what moments do you love?
I like catching them. I like feeling the bite. I mean, the bite's the best thing for me. There's nothing like setting a hook on a fish with 60 feet of line out and it don't move when you pull. When you set the hook and it comes towards you, it's not very big. When you set the hook and it goes, oh, yeah, I mean, that is the greatest feeling ever. And I got to experience a little bit of that this week. I mean, the bite's the deal. I mean, to be honest with you, the bite's the addiction. And you can't wait to get another one. I'm so out of shape right now. If I catch 10 in a row, son, I'm breathing heavy. That's pretty awesome.
The bite is the addiction. You're right. Do steroids do tournaments just put that bite on steroids?
No, not from, when I first came, yes, but now I'm comfortable. I mean, like, there was a day when I couldn't even, and this is probably why I never fished for a living. And some of the people that watch this podcast that's known me for a long time, if I fished a BFL, now get your mind, it's the BFL, I would go to the bathroom 3 times between the house and the boat ramp on the side of the road, and I'd puke twice. I mean, like, it was bad. Like, my nerves could not handle it. And I don't know. I woke up one day and it could handle it. And that's really the reason I started doing this, because I'd have never went and fished the Toyota or Costas, whatever it was back in the day, if I hadn't got over that. But I did. And I'm talking about that. When I say sick, like, I remember at a blast off one time at a BFL, I was sitting in the bottom of the boat, picked my guy up, and I laid there curled up almost in a ball and fetal position, like, dude, as soon as they call our number, I'll get up and we'll go. And we did. And I was still sick. And the first few casts I made, I jumped off. I never will forget it. They were still blasting off boats at Gunnersville State Park. And I went to a place right over there close by. We could hear them still calling numbers. And I already jumped on and off 25 pounds of bass. My co-angler felt so bad about it, he started throwing over me. His line was getting hung between my glasses and my hat and my ear. I mean, like, he was tore up because he couldn't reach them. And I was letting them off. I mean, like back in the day, I was just too nervous, whatever. But now, no, I'm good. I mean, as soon as it starts, the best thing that ever happens, though, is the boat ride. The boat ride really calms me down in the mornings. That cool air in your face, no matter if it's 90 degrees that day, it's still going to be cool that morning. That cool air calms me down and gets me in a position where I know it's time to go to work. And I love it, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I do love it. I love my job. I probably take a picture of the sunrise at least once per tournament. I mean, you see things that people never get to see.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing that we get to see, nobody thinks about. We're getting to see some of the most elaborate houses across the country. I mean, we're fishing for pennies, and these people got millions in these houses. I mean, it kind of sucks when you go to the lake and you see $1 million houses on every point, I mean, it's, but we're blessed. I mean, every angler on a tour, I don't care what tour it is, we're blessed. And we're blessed because we get to live something we love. I mean, it's, we can't all be winners. There's only be one winner per tournament. We all want to win. We all pray about winning. But it's timing. And I had my time, and I think my time will come again.
The irony is when you're looking up at that house thinking, look at that dude. I mean, I bet you there's been a lot of times where there's a dude in that house looking out and being like, look at that dude. I mean, he fishes for a living, doesn't have to deal with the stock exchange or whatever that guy's, doesn't have to go perform heart surgery or whatever the dude that lives in that house does.
We all take whatever we got for granted, and it's just human nature. And but I've been blessed to travel with a bunch of people that have their own businesses, whether it's been in the MPFL, Bass, FLW, whatever. I've traveled with some really cool guys, and they all want this bad. And I'm thinking, golly, if I had the business you got, this would just be a second thought. I'd pay me to take me fishing and forget this. I'd be back over working that business. But they want to be here. You're right. I mean, those guys that are very successful in what they've done would love to have what we got. But we're all put here for something, and I reckon this is my deal.
So is it better for you to have a longer boat ride if that chills you out? Like if you find it real close, is that a negative for you?
No, it depends on how rough it is. We go.
I guess that's a good answer.
If it's rough, I'm dreading it. But no, really and truly, I really do like a little bit of a boat ride. Not no run long, just enough. It don't take long, but I mean, I've always seemed like I've always got a 10-minute ride. But those rides like I see these guys make in St. Lawrence from Waddington to the lake, I still don't do that much. But that lake stuff scares me to death. You guys that grew up on them big lakes, golly. I mean, like I've been on the water my whole life, but it's been a river about 150 yards wide, most of it,
Yeah. Yeah. It is different. It's such a, but it's something you got to do a bunch until you get comfortable with being somewhere where you can't see shore ahead of you. You can't see shore behind. I think back and I'm like, how did we ever do this without GPS and everything? Like I
don't know how you did. I can tell you like I did go out in a big lake last year or two, but the only sucky thing out there for a guy like me, when you really get to catching them, I get seasick as soon as I get in the bottom of the boat. It's terrible. And I loved it when Corey got sick. I mean, that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, hey, that guy lives out there and he got sick. You know, so I thought, well, maybe I'm not the only one. But like when I get queasy, I head back because I mean, I can't function. I'm a sissy. If it comes to that feeling like that, dude, I'm out. So I have to catch them in a hurry before I get sick if I'm going out there. But after fishing Admiral Sound this year, or whenever it was this year?
Yeah.
My years, but that was rough. When I tell you that was rough. I mean, like, the Great Lakes can get rough, but at least they're spread apart a little bit. Over there, them jokers is on top of each other. So, I don't know. I really enjoy northern swings. I wish we did more of it. It is a lot of fun catching those fish up there. They bite. And I'm way behind on them. I never caught smallmouth like that until I started fishing on the tour.
Wow. See, and that's explains the difference too. Like how many you take all the rookies in the last 2 years that have come in. They've all fished smallmouth. They've all, but that's the impact that collegiate fishing and high school fishing is having, that nobody wants to point. Like everybody wants to point their finger at forward facing sonar, and I get it. Forward facing sonar is a topic that no matter what stance you are on it, guess what? You're wrong because it's, I mean, it's right and wrong for everybody. You know what I mean? Like everybody's feeling's what it is, but ultimately, I think even if it went away, these kids have been like, you're talking about, you've had a very successful tour career, both of the elites and FLW, multiple wins, both sides. I mean, nobody would argue with your career, but you showed up not knowing how to throw any finesse stuff. You done no smallmouth stuff until you were on tour. Like that's unheard of now.
Yeah. It don't happen now.
It's wild.
But another thing that we didn't talk about that I'm pretty impressed with these kids, and Gerald and I had this conversation very briefly. So the network that these kids have, I have a network, but the network these kids have, that college fish and high school fish, they were never stingy with information either. They seem to share, they seem to help each other, they lift each other up. My generation, if we had a secret bait, I never showed it. I never talked about it, and I give those kids a hard time. I really do. And I call them kids. They're men, but I really enjoy picking with them and messing with them because I always kid them around and say, I know y'all got a secret bait and y'all ain't sharing. What is it? What is it? And when I get close to one of them, they'll hide their bait now just to mess with me, you know? So we have a good time. I mean, I enjoy them. I like to learn. But those kids, I don't want to call them, those young men are sharing information freely and helping each other and lifting them up. And that's kind of how life should be. We should lift everybody up. But our generation, if we didn't do it on our own, we kept it a secret. I mean, it's just different. You're talking about evolving. The people are evolving as much as the sport's evolving. And it's making them all better. It's making it more watchable. I mean, regardless, look at the fish they're catching now. Everybody's, like the fish catches are unbelievable, and life has something to do with it, but it also has to do with these guys are more rounded anglers. They're sharing with each other. I mean, like, I don't mean this to be bad, but with live, I mean, you can fish beside each other and not even throw at the same fish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like before, we're throwing at a spot. I was raised on structure fishing. That's what I do. If I can find a rock pile or a brush pile or a ledge with a dip in, I mean, that's the stuff I'm throwing at, and it's hard to share with you, buddy.
Yeah.
But the other deal is easy to share, and that's what's making it a little easier. Not easier, but a little more angler friendly, I guess is a better way to put it.
Well, yeah, where you'll see, and I mean, it was a piece of, you guarded your piece of territory in the past. And now that they don't even look at it like that in a lot of situations, you know what I mean? Like that you hear them talk about how it actually makes it better if you have multiple boats there because you keep the school fired up and things like that are so different than so many people were used to in the past. But that team thing is big.
Could you imagine, though, that guys my age with the knowledge that they have, if they had the same mentality, what you could do?
So why haven't we seen that?
Everybody's still scared of the beating that they took from somebody else that's lied to them in the past. That's the problem. Yeah. And these guys haven't had to experience that. They haven't had their buddy tell them, hey, I'm catching them over here on a swim jig in 3 foot of water, but they're really fishing in 25 foot of water on brush piles off of, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's happened to all the older guys. I mean, everybody kept stuff secret. Those guys haven't had to go through that, and it's a good thing. I mean, that's why if there's something positive about the sport, it's going to make it more unity in the end. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens a lot where guys will steer you the wrong direction.
If you don't talk to a lot of people, they won't. And that's another thing. I don't talk to a lot of people. And you can see it when, the first day you miss them, and the second day they jump back up, have 10 more pounds than they had the day before. That's because most times it's because somebody's got them in a better direction. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it don't work for me. I can't, even if you told me the best place in the lake and that's where you're catching them, 90% of the time I'm going to dodge that place, but it's because I don't want to feel like that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I shouldn't be that way because people do try to help you sometimes and you don't take the help. It's your own fault. And I've been there. And sometimes people thought I held out on them and I didn't. I mean, Harris chain. And I've still got some people that have ill feels about me when I won a Harris chain. But when I won a Harris chain, I was going to catch me 3 keepers off that first spot I stopped on. I hoped I could catch 3 keepers. I was going to go to Beauclair and I was going to just daub in the grass all day. And if I got bit over there, I needed to be a 3 to 5 pounder. But I couldn't go catch 5 of them. So I was going to stop. And I stopped on one place and that was a school rolled in there. And I caught them. Had no idea I was going to catch them. Started there the second day. Didn't get a bite there. That's how freaked out place that was. Went 2 points over and caught them again. On the third day, I never got another bite there. I mean, it was one of them deals. It was just, I was more proud of that win than any win I've ever had because I'd had nothing when I started and I made it during the tournament. I'd never done that before. Every time else I've ever won one, I knew where I was going. I knew what I was going to do, and I just had to make it happen. That thing changed every day. And on the last day, I found them behind the boat on a Carolina rig. Didn't throw a Carolina rig or none. I mean, it's just, I grew more in that tournament knowing that you can go around and make it happen if you just put your head down. I tried to do it before and after, and I've never been successful again. But it can happen. So
you said some people are still twisted all. I don't forget the analogy you used about you. What? I hadn't heard anything about. Why would they be?
Just closer friends that thought that I had held information back. I was talking to during the tournament, and look, once I figured it out, the guys I was traveling with back then was Josh Strachner. Josh had a bad first day. Second day, I told him what I did, and he made it happen somewhere else on the lake, and he almost caught back up. I mean, so I figured it out during the tournament, but it wasn't before the tournament. I mean, it just happened, and like I told him, I was like, they may be in every place that he did it too. It was kind of the same deal. They'd move every day. And he's like, dude, I seen them here, but I could never catch them. And I tried it on the 3rd or 4th day, and then I caught them there, but I never got them. It was just a weird deal. But somebody I have a lot of respect for in the industry really thought that I had not told them the truth during practice. And that was not the case. That was one of the worst practices I ever had. I'll tell you how funny it was. I was in Banana Cove. Everybody knows. I was idling out of Banana Cove, and I seen like 5 or 6 dots, and it looked like it would look on a Tennessee River. I was like, dude, that's bass. I idled all the way to the dead river, though, before I said, dude, you need to go back and see if that was bass. Because I wrote it off. I idled all the way to the dead river. You know how long that is if you idle. It's a long ways. I'd put in Eustis that day, so I was headed back towards the boat ramp. I turned around, went right back over there, made 3 casts, caught 3 14-inchers. That's it. I was like, well, that's good. I can go right there and catch me a few keepers, leave and go to Beauclair. I stopped there that morning. Banana Cove looked like a Walmart parking lot, boats everywhere. I mean, it was just boats everywhere. Yeah. But that place I wanted to fish was wide open, and I started casting. And as soon as I started casting, I started catching them. And I was like, where did this come from? Well, by then, I'm not going to give up on it. And everybody's seen it happen, so I burned them pretty good. I caught 40 or 50 fish there that day, and probably shouldn't have done it. But I had no choice. I wouldn't have got it the second day, and if I'd left it, somebody else would have been catching them. So I caught them. And then the second day, I started there. And I think the third day, remember we held up everybody 15, half the field to stay? I was catching them at a different spot. I'd already fished 2 spots before they got to blast off, and they hadn't had a bite. And I remember, I think somebody was telling me they was watching me on TV, on the big screen and catching them already early in the morning, but it was somewhere I never fished during the tournament or practice. So it was just one of those deals where it happened as we win. And sometimes it happens that way, and all of our guys will think somebody told a story, but I don't think it's always that way. I think all of our guys are so good they can make it happen during the day. Now, I do think there are still some that will steer you not in the direction they're in, which is fine. They don't owe me nothing. I mean, I don't owe them nothing, really. I mean, it's an individual sport, but the team deal seems to be a better way to go. I will tell you that.
Do you think there should be something done to stop the team deal, or do you just think that's just part of it?
I think that's just part of it. You're either going to have to get in on it and have trust and who you're teaming with, or just go alone and do it. I mean, again, I still think the veterans of the sport is a better way to put it. The veterans have a harder time teaming up than the younger guys, and I know why, and it's just because they feel like they've been burnt before. But I think some people think they've been burnt when they really hadn't been burnt.
Yeah. Well, there's been, I mean, the veteran team deal. I mean, the whole time I worked with the elites, there's been teams that have happened. It's just been the last 4 or 5 years where the teams have actually functioned and made an impact. Like in the past, it felt like you'd see teams like, hey, there's these guys rooming together and they're helping each other. And it would seem like one dude would do real well and the other dude wouldn't. And guess what? That is the perfect recipe for a team to explode.
But I think now a lot of it's by phone. I mean, even if you're not staying with them, there's probably, I'm guessing there's a handful of people talking to 10 or more people per tournament. Yeah. And they can piece them pieces together and make it work for them. I've just never been that guy. I just kind of got to do my thing. And the last few tournaments I've been doing better. That's what I've done. I've gone back to doing what I do. I idle more. I used to idle at least a day, maybe a day and a half, a full idle just to try to find where I wanted to fish. And I quit doing it. I started looking at live. I've started going to the bank. I mean, and now I've gone back to what I used to do to make me money. And it seems to be picking my confidence back up. And I'm really catching more fish the way I want to catch them. So if there's anything you can expect out of me in the future, I'm going back to doing more idling. I'm going back to fishing to what got me here, because fishing's changed a little bit, but it ain't changed that much. And I've just tried to change my strengths, and I've got to get back to fishing my style. And I don't mean that there's a style, but I like having targets to throw at, or at least find enough fish that's more than one or two. But I can tell you that even the fish are changing. The schools are busting up. There's not 100 fish schools like there used to be as much. I mean, it's going to be more finesse type looking instead of power fishing looking, if that makes sense. I'm looking for 5 or 6 groups instead of 50 groups, if that makes sense. And when you're doing that, live makes it better. Live makes it easier, quicker, faster, just to be able to locate the fish. I mean, and I'm a big 360 guy, but a 360 guy is 10-second delay. It's nothing live about it. You can't see your bait. You really can't tell the water column they're in unless they got a good shadow. I mean, there's a lot that the 360 won't do, but there's a lot of the 360 will do that the live won't do. So they both have their places, and I'm way better with 360 than I am live.
I've run a Yamaha outboard for over 30 years. It has got me home safe each and every time. If you enjoy this podcast, remember, Yamaha supports it, and they care enough about you to make this ad read very short. Now back to the show.
Where are you at with I know you said you didn't like votes, but do you have an opinion on, obviously everybody talking about whether it should stay the way it is, whether it should go 50-50, like or whether it should go away? Well, if you were, never mind voting, I don't want to hear your vote, but if you all of a sudden were the commissioner of bass fishing, what would your decision be on forward facing sonar?
It's going to be a little bit of a part series, because I know bass has always been a very strong stance on conservation. That is really what bass promotes, is conservation. Really and truly, that I can remember even the days, conservation was key. I mean, I just remember it all my life has been conservation. I don't care if it stays or goes. I feel like I have to be the guy that either steps my game up or steps my game down, and it has nothing to do with competition. I'm not mad that I can't keep up with them or nothing like that. So with that being said, I'm a fan of an Alabama rig out of all things. We can't throw an Alabama rig in bass because of a conservation deal. If an Alabama rig is too conservational for bass, then live is too conservational to me. Of Alabama rig only plays a few times a year, and you hook them outside. But I can tell you right now, live with a jerk bait, you hook them outside the mouth just as much as you do with Alabama rig. So if we're looking at conservation side, I'm not a fan of it. If we're looking at run what you brung, like a drag racing or boat racing or whatever I've always done, run what you brung, it stays. But that's why I'm telling you, I don't like the vote deal. I want somebody to say, this is what we're going to do. You can either play in our league or you can find another league to play in. That's where I wish it would go. But to answer your question, if we're fishing bass the way I grew up watching bass, it don't have a place. for where we're headed and what we're doing. And I don't mean this bad, but bass is the standard, right? In fishing. I mean, the Bassmaster Classic is the biggest thing in bass fishing. And that is bass, BASS, nobody else. And to be a leader in that deal, I think you need to make firm stands and you need to stand behind them. And I don't think our weights that Rick Klein had and the days that Hyatt had, I mean, and the Kevin Van Dam, I don't think that live is part of that. I don't think live should be part of that. And I know they had flashers. I mean, like I started with a flasher, so they can talk all that crap they want to, but I started with a flasher and I can run across the lake and I can see bait with a flasher. I can see ditches with a flasher. I can see grass clumps with a flasher. I mean, I've done all that. I mean, I know all that is technology and we have progressed up, but being able to chase a fish for an hour and catch that fish, that is crazy. I mean, you got to think about that a little bit. I mean, we can do it with our eyes if they stay in shallow water, but even a shallow fish up north can get deeper where we can't see it. You know what I'm saying? There is some relief, but they have no relief with live. If we're talking about conservation, that's where I'm at with it.
It's a good stance. I mean,
I don't care. Again, as I'm telling you, if it stays, I fish it. If I don't like it, I go somewhere else, and that's the way I like it. And I don't like the division it's creating. And some of that division is in the wrong place. Some of that division is because we can't compete. But that mine's not there. I'm not mad that they beat me. I'm mad at myself because I'm not beating them. That's the whole deal. So I'm not that guy. But just so you understand what I'm saying, it needs to change regardless. I don't know whether it's 50-50 or gone. But something has to equal out for us to be able to maintain as a group. And that 50-50 deal, everybody thinks that because they got it, they're better, the younger guys. But they're going to be surprised if they catch them and we do away with it for 50% of the time, too. I mean, it's going to be I would like to see it minimum 50-50, though, to be honest with you, because that puts them where they got to learn what I do as much as I got to learn what they do. No matter, I mean, I know everybody, all the young guys and old guys, too, will say, well, you need to go learn what they're doing. You're behind. Well, if you've never done what we've done, they may be behind if they took it away. You know what I'm trying to say? There's an equal stance somewhere. But I'm just telling you, the conservation side, it's not a great thing. And then other than that, I'm good for whatever they want to do. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it. It's like bed fishing. You don't see me bed fish much in a tournament, but I think it's fun.
Yeah.
So
the 50-50 to me, I mean, dude, I'm just tired of the argument, to be honest. I just want to yell stupid stuff while you guys hold fish. And I think that there's some of the division is the time we live in. There's division in everything. Like, that's just how it is, like in every single sport. And I mean, we've used golf. Look what happened in golf. You got, Live and PGA. But I think that there's a benefit in division through, social media creates division. That's, I mean, me and you can post, this is my favorite worm, and guess what? Somebody's going to chime in there and be like, no, that worm's a piece of crap because I like this, vice versa. But I think that at least with 50-50, the person who wins Angler of the Year has been tested at everything. Like, they've had to catch them. And I think it's intriguing to see. But ultimately, I think that the fishing world needs to remember that other anglers are not the enemy.
No, I agree. I agree with that 100%. And everybody don't ever get along no matter what we do. But it has gotten harder with the division that we've created with voting and live, to be honest with you. And again, once we get that squared away, I think it'll go back to some normalcy. But the sport needs normalcy. In general, all leagues need normalcy in order for people to want to put their money in it. And that's what it's all about. We've got to do a better job to where we can get bigger. Nothing wrong with sponsors we got, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but we need bigger investments out of sponsors. Yeah. And that only comes when they're comfortable with the league. And that league can't have controversy at every point. It needs to die down and it needs to move forward. And we need more money in this deal. And it'll probably not happen before I have to leave, but these guys are going to appreciate us trying to get normalcy and money into this thing in the future.
Yeah. And the leagues in general, like the leagues need to remember it's bass fishing. We're all promoting the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like enough of the, I like this league because of that. I like this league. Like, guess what? I love the fact that I don't have to wait till Sunday 3 months later to watch it on TuneIn. I can watch live bass fishing, whatever league I want, almost any week of the year. Like, we are so overserviced as bass fishing fans. So there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good in the world. And buddy, you're part of that good. So the end of the season going to go strong here, right? We're going to have two great final events. I
had a few bucket lists. I've checked a few off. One of them is winning a northern event, so I'm trying hard for that one.
All right.
I actually want to win actually not just a northern event. I want it to be a smallmouth northern event because I did go to Champlain and catch a lot of big largemouth, so I can't count that one. I want to win one with smallmouth one time.
So St. Clair, you're going to win St. Clair.
I'm going to try.
All right.
I got a new rod company, new reel company, and they got some really great product to put in my hands, so I'm fixing to put in the work. Nice.
Sounds like a plan. I know you got, I don't want to keep you much longer because I've already kept you more than I promised, and you got a bunch of stuff going on, but it's been good hanging out. Let's do this again, buddy.
I'd love to. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, no problem. I mean, again, I'm just an idiot at booking people. I wish I was better at it. Literally, people are like, well, why didn't you call so-and-so? Generally, you know who gets booked? Whoever I just randomly have to talk to that week about whatever. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, are you free on Tuesday so we can make a podcast? I wish I was.
It's probably why you're sitting on the throne and you're scrolling Facebook or Instagram. You say, oh, dude, he's got something we need to talk about. Let's talk to him.
That's the truth. There is a lot of social media. That's the thing to remember about social media. A lot of social media gets done while people are. So that tells you what you need to know about social media. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you. I really do.
All right. You take care and have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Well, on that note, it's got me wondering, where are you listening to this podcast? Are you literally listening to it where it all goes down? Are you sitting on the throne, the toilet, the outhouse, the crapper, the can, whatever you refer to it as? Or maybe you're out, going for a walk. Maybe you're at work. Maybe you drive a truck. Maybe you're on your way to work. Let me know where you listen to this show for two reasons. I mean, number one, I'm curious. And number two, pun unintentional, but number two, it will help stroke the algorithm and keep the grow going, because it amazes me the amount of people that listen to this podcast and how widespread you are. So help this good community continue to grow, and let me know in the comments where you listen to the podcast, and what you're doing when you listen to it. I would love to know. And keep that in mind as well about social media, because that is a true stat. I mean, a lot of social media is taken care of when people are, taking care of a business. So maybe it makes you look at things a little different. If you visualize that hateful comment or that ornery person or that ornery post happening while someone's doing that, maybe it makes you look at things different. I mean, we're just passing time. I mean, people used to do crossword puzzles, and now they are giving their opinion one finger at a time. The next thing I want to talk about, and there's no smooth transition for it, because there's no way to get to it. It is horrific. It is devastation, and it is the floods in Texas. To all the amazing people of Texas, I have so many amazing friends in Texas and such amazing memories and things connected to Texas. I mean, I once had a dog from Texas called Tex that passed just a few years ago. I mean, I love Texas, and I hate seeing what they're going through. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody and anybody that is affected by the horrifying devastation that is happening there. Get out there and have a good week, people. Make the world a better place. Say something nice to somebody, just randomly. Say hello to your neighbor. Tell them their lawn looks nice. It makes a big difference in the world. Hold the door open for somebody. You don't know what they're going through that week. And little things like that truly make the world a better place. Have a great week. Enjoy being. And as always, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?